Okay, I'm happy to introduce Paul Willoughby in the category of heritage and local history. Tom mentioned that Paul and I were classmates from 65 to 1970. Neither one of us had to do a victory lap. We managed to get out of here in 5 years. Paul was born in Aurelia, but moved back to King when he was 2, 1953. And that sort of was a homecoming for his mother, Doris, who grew up in Kinghorn. And if, for those of you who don't know where Kinghorn is, it's just west of King City along King Road. And so Paul's family settled back in King City, and he is a member of a family called, try and get it right, Hollingshead, not Hollingshead, but apparently there's a few rebel Hollingsheads out there, that are 6th generation United Empire loyalists. So Paul comes from a long-standing Ontario historical family, and that may be where the genes come from for his history, love of history and heritage. I would think it'd be fair to call his mother Doris the unofficial historian for King Township, because she's been on the historical board and written about things historical around King forever. Paul started here at King in 1965, but his interest in history really started back in grade 7 and 8. He started to develop a real love for local heritage and history in general. And in grade 10, he won the Fred Swayze Award for interest in local history. Fred was, and Paul could correct me, but I think Fred was a professor of history down at York, was it? Yeah. So, and we went to school with his son Ken. But he had this award, and Paul was a recipient in grade 10 as someone that had taken a real interest in history and the local heritage. After graduating in 1970, Paul went to Ontario Agricultural College at the University of Guelph. He studied horticulture. He graduated and spent his entire working career working in various aspects of the horticultural industry, finishing up a long career with the city of Etobicoke. Although he loved horticulture, and he professes that he developed an interest in horticulture working in his grandmother's garden, he really showed his passion for history and local heritage. Paul was a member of the King Township Historical Society, the York Pioneer and Historical Society, where he served 2 terms as president. Paul currently lives in Brampton. So what do you think he did in Brampton? He became the founding member of the Brampton Historical Society, and he's currently serving the position of recording secretary. He's a member of the Brampton Heritage Board since 2003, and he's been co-chair since 2009. This guy lives history, I tell you. For the past 5 years, Paul has volunteered with the Peel Art Gallery, Museum and Archives, researching artifacts for the museum curator. He's current president of the Sharon Burying Ground Association. If you're familiar with the area, Sharon's just north of Newmarket. And one of his interests in that historical group is that his great-great-great-grandfather is buried in the Sharon Cemetery. So his entire life, I think it's fair to say, from grade 7, 8 on till now, he's devoted it to learning about history and our local heritage. And in recognition of Paul's absolute dedication to this area, he was presented in 2013. He received the Lieutenant Governor of Ontario Heritage Award for lifetime achievement in the area of history and local heritage. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Paul Willoughby.
Thank you, John. It is indeed a great honor to be back here at King City Secondary. I came here once after I graduated for one of the reunions, and I haven't been back since. I'm awed by you just used to have to get up the stairs. But I must say, my love of heritage goes back to my mother, and some of the earlier generation, especially her uncle. I learned a lot from Uncle Ab on local history, especially around Kinghorn. And while I was at Guelph, I had the great honor of, I was in the graduating year of 1974, was the 100th anniversary of the Ontario Agricultural College. So it was a great year to be there. I mean, I had professors that stayed because they wanted to retire in the 100th year of OAC. I had some wonderful teachers there, and I had some wonderful teachers here in King as well. And I wish to thank you today for this honor. Thank you.
Paul, as a souvenir of our appreciation for all that you've done and a memento for you, we'd like to present you with this certificate of recognition.